Welcome, everyone, to another deep dive. Today, we're tackling a really fundamental topic in biology.
We are indeed.
It's all about control and coordination. And honestly, this is key not just for biology, but for understanding how any living thing works, right? Like a perfectly tuned machine.
Exactly. A perfectly synchronized machine.
It's fundamental because, well, it explains how organisms manage everything inside them and how they react to the world outside.
So that's our mission today, to break down these systems.
Pretty much.
Right.
We'll look at both animals and plants step by step. You'll get a really clear picture, crucial for, grasping life sciences properly.
Okay.
It's about seeing how every single action, every response is part of this carefully orchestrated performance. It's all about survival and thriving.
Right, these perfectly synchronized machines. And the most obvious sign of that synchronization is probably movement, isn't it?
That's usually what we think of first. Yeah, like a cat chasing something, kids playing, even buffaloes chewing cud. We just automatically link movement with life. But I guess it's more complex than just moving.
Oh, definitely.
Well,
We need to separate out the different kinds of movement. Some movements are, well, directly tied to growth.
like a plant growing.
Exactly. Think about a seed germinating. That little seedling has to physically push through the soil. It sends its shoot up, its root down. That takes days, weeks even.
And that movement is literally the growth happening.
Precisely. If the growth stops, that movement stops too.
Yeah.
That's a growth-related movement. Clear cut.
Okay. But then there's the other kind you mentioned. The cat pouncing, kids on swings, the buffaloes chewing. That's not about getting bigger.
Not at all. Those are immediate responses. Dynamic reactions to what's going on around them or inside them, like digesting food.
So why is that kind of movement such a big sign of life for us?
Well, I think it's because we see it as a direct, purposeful response to some kind of change, a stimulus.
Right.
The cat sees prey, so it runs. That's its hunting instinct kicking in. Plants, well, they might seem still, but they'll actually grow towards sunlight. They reorient themselves.
Pulling your hand away from something hot.
Exactly. You're reacting to avoid getting hurt. These aren't just random twitches. They're controlled, adaptive actions.
Controlled, that's the key word, isn't it? Because these movements, these responses, they're incredibly precise.
Absolutely precise.
It's not just any movement. It's the right movement for that specific situation, like whispering a secret in class versus shouting.
That's a great analogy. You whisper because shouting would be the wrong response for that context. The movement, the action, is perfectly tailored to the trigger.
Which means living things absolutely need systems that can figure out what's happening and trigger only the correct response.
It's essential. Imagine the chaos if our bodies just reacted randomly. Touching something hot and, waving your foot. It would be inefficient, dangerous even.
Yeah, survival would be pure luck.
Exactly. So in complex organisms, like us, we have specialized tissues, specialized organs, dedicated entirely to this control and coordination.
Okay, sir, ma'am. It makes sense that movements are controlled, but why is this control part so critical? Couldn't an organism just react randomly sometimes? Maybe it would work out.
That's a really fundamental question. And the answer comes down to efficiency and, well, basic survival. A random reaction is almost always going to be detrimental.
Detrimental? How so?
Think about that hot object again. If you touch it and your hand just flails randomly, what if it moves further into the heat? That could be disastrous. Instantly.
Right. Okay. I see.
Control ensures the appropriate action happens. It makes sure energy isn't wasted on useless movements. It's the difference between just reacting, like a knee jerk, and responding intelligently.
So it's about efficiency and survival.
Precisely. Without that control, the whole biological system would just fall apart. You couldn't maintain that stable internal environment homeostasis that life depends on. That's why these control systems are so central to complex life.
That really clarifies the why. Okay, so let's dive into the specifics now. Starting with animals. How do they achieve this incredible control?
Right. In animals, the main players are the nervous system and the muscular system. We touched on this in class 9, remember?
Vaguely, yes. Nervous and muscular tissues.
They work together, hand in glove. Think about that hot object scenario again. It's urgent. You need immediate detection, processing, and a response. Almost instantaneous.
And that's the nervous system's job, the speed.
Exactly. The nervous system is built for speed. It's the body's high-speed communication network, handling rapid, precise signaling.
So how does that super fast detection even start? How do we sense the heat or smell food or hear a noise in the first place?
It all starts with specialized structures called receptors. Think of them as the body's tiny antennas.
Antennas?
Yes, biological sensors, really. They're usually located at the very tips of specific nerve cells. And these nerve cells are often concentrated in our sense organs.
Like eyes, ears, nose.
Precisely. The inner ear has receptors for sound and balance, the nose for smell, the tongue for taste. And for exams, you need to know the specific names, like gustatory receptors.
Gustatory. That's for taste.
Yes, detecting sweet, sour, salty, bitter, umami. And then olfactory receptors.
Olfactory must be smell then.
Correct. They detect all the different smells around us. These receptors are the gatekeepers of information from the environment.
Okay, fascinating. So the receptor picks up the information, say heat. What happens next? How does that feeling turn into a signal the body uses to, react?
Now we get to the really elegant part, how the nerve impulse travels. Let's break it down step by step. It's quite a journey.
Okay, step by step sounds good.
Right. Step 1, the initial spark. It all begins at the dendrite tip of a nerve cell. That's the receiver part. When information hits it, heat, pressure, a chemical. It doesn't just sit there. It triggers a quick chemical reaction. And that reaction creates a tiny burst of electricity and electrical impulse, like a spark.
Electrical spark. Okay.
Step 2, the electrical journey. This impulse then travels. It zips from the dendrite through the main part of the cell body, and then down that long projection called the axon, really fast.
Down the axon. Got it.
Step 3, the chemical bridge. Now, at the very end of the axon, the electricity can't just jump to the next cell. There's a gap.
A gap.
A tiny, tiny gap. So the electrical impulse arrives. It triggers the release of special chemicals. We call these neurotransmitters, the messengers.
So electricity turns into chemicals.
At this specific junction, yes. Step 4, crossing the synapse. These chemicals, the neurotransmitters, are released into that microscopic gap. And that gap has a special name. The synapse. Very important term.
The synapse of it.
The chemicals drift across the synapse. Step 5, igniting the next neuron. When they reach the dendrite of the next neuron, they bind to it, and guess what?
Fire another electrical impulse.
Exactly. They trigger a similar electrical impulse in that next neuron. It's like passing a relay baton, but using chemicals for the handover across the gap.
Yeah.
Step 6, delivering the command. This process repeats neuron to neuron, like a chain reaction, until the signal reaches its final destination. Often that involves another synapse delivering the impulse from the last neuron to, say, a muscle cell to make it move or a gland cell to make it release something.
So it can go neuron to muscle directly.
Yes, or neuron to gland. That final delivery step is crucial for action. This whole incredibly fast electrical to chemical back to electrical relay is what allows animals to have such quick, complex reactions. It's precision at high speed.
That is genuinely intricate and beautiful in a way. So the entire nervous tissue is just this massive, organized network of these neurons passing signals along.
Essentially, yes. An incredibly organized network, specialized for conducting information using these electrical impulses. That's why it's so fast and efficient.
Right. Now, earlier you mentioned olfactory and gustatory receptors. There was an activity in our textbook, activity 6.1, I think, where you block your nose and eat sugar. Why did the taste seem different? Is that related?
Yes, that's a fantastic activity and absolutely related. It perfectly shows how our senses work together.
How so?
Well, when you eat sugar normally, your gustatory receptors, the taste buds, pick up the sweetness. Simple enough. But at the same time, tiny molecules from the sugar drift up into your nose.
Okay.
And your olfactory receptors detect these aroma molecules. Your brain then takes both signals, the taste from the tongue and the smell from the nose, and combines them.
So flavor isn't just taste.
Exactly. Flavor is a combination of taste and smell. The richness, the specific character of the sugar's flavor, comes from that blend. So when you block your nose,
The olfactory receptors can't work.
precisely, they're offline. Your brain only gets the sweet signal from your tongue without the accompanying aroma information. So the overall perception of flavor seems much weaker or just different.
That makes perfect sense. It's why food tastes so bland when you have a cold.
Exactly the same principle. Your blocked nose cuts off the smell input, reducing the flavor. It really highlights how integrated our sensory processing is.
It really does. Okay, so speaking of rapid processing, what about those reactions where we don't even seem to think? Like snatching your hand off a hot stove instantly. What's that called?
You're talking about reflex actions. That term reflex gets used loosely, but biologically it means something very specific.
Which is?
It's a sudden, often involuntary action. It happens in response to a specific stimulus from the environment, but crucially, it happens without conscious thought.
Without thinking, like the hand on the stove example.
Perfect example. Or the knee-jerk reflex when the doctor taps your knee. or even your mouth watering when you smell food you love. You don't decide for these to happen, they just happen.
Okay, but why? Why bypass the brain? Why not think about it first, even quickly?
It comes down to speed and safety, especially in dangerous situations. Thinking, conscious thought, is actually a very complex process.
How complex?
It involves millions, billions maybe, of nerve impulses interacting across vast networks of neurons in the brain. The thinking part of your brain has to get signals, process them, compare them to memories, figure out options, then decide on an action.
That sounds like it would take time.
Exactly. For something urgent, like touching a burning stove, waiting for all that complex processing, you'd get seriously injured before you even decided to move your hand. Evolution needed a shortcut.
A shortcut. So the body found a quicker way.
It did. It's called the reflex arc. It's ingenious, really.
Yeah.
Instead of the sensory signal going all the way up to the brain for a decision, the reflex arc creates a much simpler, faster connection. It's like a direct pathway between the input nerve, the one detecting the heat, and the output nerve, the one telling the muscle to pull away.
A direct connection. Where does this happen?
Right in the spinal cord. Think of the spinal cord as a major highway for nerves going to and from the brain. Nerves from all over the body meet there. So these reflex arcs, these quick connections, are formed directly within the spinal cord. It acts like a local command center for these emergency responses.
So the spinal cord is like a mini brain for quick decisions and emergencies. Does that mean the brain has no role at all in reflex actions?
That's a common question. The brain is involved, just not in initiating the reflex itself. The spinal cord handles the immediate action.
So what does the brain do?
Well, the information about the stimulus, the heat, the pain, does still travel up the spinal cord to the brain. It gets there maybe at the same time the reflex happens or slightly after.
So you do feel the pain eventually?
Oh, yes. You pull your hand away first, thanks to the spinal cord reflex, but then your brain registers the pain. You become consciously aware of what happened. Maybe you yell, ouch.
Ah, okay, so the reflex happens first for safety. Then the brain catches up.
Exactly. The brain becomes aware, it learns from the experience maybe, but it didn't make the initial split-second decision to move. The spinal cord's reflex arc took priority for survival. It's a fantastic safety feature, evolved long ago but still vital even with our complex brains.
That makes so much sense. The spinal cord for the immediate save, the brain for the follow-up and learning. But okay, the spinal cord isn't just for reflexes, right? We do think, we make plans.
Absolutely not just for reflexes.
Yeah.
The spinal cord is also the main conduit, the information highway, carrying signals to the brain for thinking. All that complex stuff, decision-making, emotions, reasoning, that happens primarily in the brain.
The main coordinating center.
The main coordinating center, exactly. The brain and spinal cord together make up the central nervous system, the CNS. They're the bosses, integrating everything.
Okay, so that's where voluntary actions come from. Things we actually decide to do, like talking now, or maybe picking up a pen.
Precisely. Writing, talking, moving a chair, clapping, those are all voluntary actions.
Yeah.
They start with a conscious decision in your brain.
And the brain sends signals.
It sends messages down through the nervous system to the specific muscles needed for that action. And this communication network, the one carrying signals between the CNS and the rest of the body, that's the peripheral nervous system, the PNS.
PNS peripheral, so like the nerves branching out.
Exactly. It includes cranial nerves coming directly from the brain, mostly for the head and neck, and spinal nerves coming from the spinal cord going to your limbs and torso.
Yeah.
They handle all the two-way traffic.
Got it. CNS is brain and spinal cord. PNS is everything else connecting to it. So the brain itself, this main command center, can we break it down? What are its major parts?
We certainly can. It's incredibly complex, but we generally divide the brain into three main regions: the fore-brain, the midbrain, and the hind-brain. Each has its specialties.
Okay, let's start with the fore-brain. What's its role?
The fore-brain is really the star of the show when it comes to consciousness. It's the main thinking part. It has specific areas dedicated to receiving sensory information, hearing, smell, sight, touch, taste, all come in here.
So it collects all the data.
It does, but it does much more. It has crucial areas called association areas. This is where the real complex stuff happens.
Like what?
Well, these areas take the raw sensory data, combine it with other incoming information, and importantly, compare it all with stored memories and knowledge. This is where you interpret things, make decisions, solve problems.
Ah, the thinking and deciding part.
Exactly. And once a decision involving movement is made, say, to kick a ball, the information goes to the motor areas, also in the forebrain, which then control your voluntary muscles, like your leg muscles.
Makes sense. Any other specific centers in the forebrain?
Yes. For instance, there are separate centers associated with hunger. It's the forebrain that gives you that sensation of feeling full after eating.
Wow. Okay, so forebrain handles thinking, sensing, voluntary movement, even hunger. What about the midbrain and hindbrain?
These regions are more involved in controlling involuntary actions, things you don't consciously think about.
Like breathing, heartbeat.
Exactly. Breathing, heartbeat, digestion, even your pupils changing size in different light, or your mouth watering when you see food. These are mostly handled by the midbrain and hindbrain working together.
So they run the essential background processes.
That's a good way to put it. And within the hindbrain, there are two really key parts you need to know. First is the medulla.
Medulla.
Yes, the medulla controls absolutely vital involuntary actions like blood pressure, salivation, and even vomiting. Things essential for keeping you alive and stable, happening automatically.
Okay, medulla for vital functions. What's the second part?
The cerebellum. This one is super important, often asked about in exams.
Cerebellum. What does it do?
The cerebellum is all about precision and coordination. Think about activities that require fine control and balance.
Like walking a straight line or riding a bike.
Perfect examples. Walking straight, riding a bike, picking up a tiny object like a pencil, playing an instrument accurately. The cerebellum makes those smooth, coordinated, voluntary actions possible. It's also responsible for maintaining your posture and balance.
So without the cerebellum, we'd be clumsy.
Extremely clumsy. Movements would be jerky, uncoordinated, and just staying upright would be difficult. It fine-tunes everything.
Incredible. All these parts working together, mostly without us even noticing. Sir Mom, you explained voluntary and involuntary actions. Can you give me another example of an involuntary action that happens without us even realizing it, similar to breathing or digestion?
Certainly. A great example is blood circulation. Your heart pumps blood constantly, 24/7.
Right. We don't tell it to beat.
Exactly. It delivers oxygen, nutrients, removes waste, all automatically. Another one is blinking. You can blink deliberately, of course, but mostly it just happens.
To keep eyes moist.
Yes, and clean. About 15, 20 times a minute, usually without you even noticing. The beauty of these systems is they just run seamlessly in the background, handling essential functions so our conscious mind can focus elsewhere.
It really is amazing. Okay, so these organs, the brain and spinal cord, are obviously super important. How are they protected? They seem quite delicate.
They are delicate, and protection is absolutely critical. The body has evolved very robust ways to shield them. The brain sits inside the skull, which is basically a hard, bony box.
A helmet made of bone.
Pretty much. But there's more. Inside the skull, the brain is bathed in a special fluid, cerebrospinal fluid contained within membranes. It acts like a fluid-filled balloon.
For shock absorption.
Exactly. It cushions the brain against knocks and jolts. It also helps nourish the brain and remove waste. And the spinal cord?
Or runs down the back.
Protected by the vertebral column, or backbone. That structure you feel down your back is made of many individual bones, the vertebrae, stacked up to form a protective bony tunnel around the delicate cord.
Wow, multiple layers of protection. Makes sense for such vital parts.
Absolutely. Without that protection, even minor bumps could cause serious damage.
Okay, so we have the signal, it's processed, the decision is made, the organs are protected. But how does the nerve signal actually make a muscle move? What's the final step?
Right, the final execution. When an action is needed, it's the muscle tissue that does the work. It's the effector.
So the nerve impulse reaches the muscle, then what?
When the nerve impulse arrives at a muscle cell or muscle fiber, that fiber has to move. And the way muscle cells move is fundamentally by changing their shape.
Changing shape? How?
Specifically, by shortening. They contract.
Okay, how do they shorten themselves?
That's down to specialized proteins inside the muscle cells. You might have heard of them. Actin and myosin are the main ones.
Actin and myosin, are these in all muscles?
Yes, these special proteins are the key. When the electrical impulse from the nerve arrives, it triggers these proteins to interact in a specific way. They basically slide past each other.
They slide.
Yes, it's called the sliding filament mechanism. This interaction causes the proteins to change their arrangement, and this new arrangement makes the whole muscle cell shorter.
So millions of cells shortening together makes the muscle contract.
Precisely. It's this coordinated shortening at the cellular level, driven by these special proteins responding to the nerve signal, that generates the force for movement.
So Raman, so it's not just the electrical signal that makes the muscle move, but also these special proteins. Are these proteins in all our muscles, both voluntary and involuntary?
Yes, that's correct. The fundamental mechanism of contraction involving these proteins like actin and myosin is the same in both voluntary muscles like your bicep and involuntary muscles like in your heart or stomach walls. The difference isn't in the proteins themselves, but in how their contraction is controlled, whether it's initiated by conscious signals from the forebrain or automatic signals from other brain parts. But the final step, the protein interaction causing shortening, is universal.
That's fascinating. The final machinery is the same, just the control system differs. Okay, let's completely switch gears now. Animals have nerves, muscles, complex brains, but plants don't have any of that. So how do they respond to things? How do they manage control and coordination?
Plants. It's a whole different world of coordination, but equally sophisticated in its own way. They face the same challenge responding to their environment, but they use different tools.
So no nerves, no muscles. What do they use?
We can think of plant responses in two main categories. First, there are immediate responses to stimulus that don't involve growth.
Immediate, like fast.
Relatively fast, yes.
Yeah.
The classic example is the sensitive plant, or touch-me-not Mimosa pudica. You know it as chuimui.
Oh, yes, the one that closes its leaves when you touch it.
Exactly. Touch a leaf, and the leaflets fold up, and the whole leaf stalk droops quite quickly. And importantly, the plant isn't actually growing to do that.
So if it's not growing and has no muscles, how does it move so fast? How does it even sense the touch?
It's really clever. Plants do use electrical and chemical signals to send information from cell to cell, just not via specialized nerves.
Yeah.
It's slower than our system, but it works.
Okay, so signal travels somehow,
But
but the movement.
the movement itself relies on water pressure. Plant cells can change their shape by changing the amount of water inside them. In a mimosa, when it's touched, certain cells at the base of the leaf stalk rapidly lose water.
They pump water out.
Effectively, yes. This sudden loss of water makes those cells lose their internal pressure, their turgor pressure, and they kind of collapse or shrink. This change in shape causes the leaves to fold and droop.
Wow, movement by water pressure changes. That's ingenious. Okay, what's the second type of plant movement?
The second type is movement due to growth. These are usually much slower, directional movements. We call them tropisms.
Tropisms, like growing towards something.
Exactly. Growing towards or away from a stimulus. And these movements are dependent on growth. If growth stops, the movement stops. A great example is tendrils on climbing plants, like peas.
The curly things they used to climb?
Yes. Those tendrils are sensitive to touch. When a tendril touches a support, the side touching it starts to grow slower than the side away from the support.
Slower? Why does that make it curl?
Because the outer side is growing faster, it causes the tendril to bend and coil around the support, allowing the plant to cling and climb. It's differential growth.
Differential growth.
Yeah.
Clever. So what are the main types of these tropisms?
There are several key ones you need to know for exams. First, phototropism. Photo means light. So this is growth in response to light.
Like plants bending towards a window?
Precisely. Shoots grow towards light. Roots usually grow away from light. Activity 6.2 in your book shows this well.
Okay, phototropism for light. What else?
Geotropism or gravitropism.
Hey.
Geo for earth, gravity. This is response to gravity.
So roots growing down.
Yes, roots grow downwards, positive geotropism, anchoring the plant. Shoots grow upwards, negative geotropism, away from gravity towards the light.
Makes sense. Any others?
Hydrotropism, hydro for water, roots grow towards sources of water, absolutely vital for survival.
Okay, and one more.
Chemotropism, chemo for chemicals, growth towards or away from specific chemicals. A key example is during reproduction, the pollen tube grows towards chemicals released by the ovule, guiding it for fertilization.
Sir Mom, so the chumimui plant moves quickly using water, but the shoot bending towards light is slow because it's actual growth. Why such a big difference in speed if both are responses to stimuli?
That's a very good point to clarify. The difference lies entirely in the mechanism. The chumimui uses rapid, reversible changes in water pressure, like flicking a switch. It's a quick physical adjustment.
Okay.
Tropisms, like phototropism, involve actual growth.
Yeah.
Cells have to divide, cells have to elongate differently on one side compared to the other. These are slower metabolic processes. They take time, hours, or days.
So one is a quick physical change, the other a slower biological construction project.
That's a great way to think about it.
Okay.
One is immediate defense or reaction. The other is long-term positioning and orientation through building new structure. Both are effective strategies, just suited for different purposes and timescales.
Got it. Now, how do plants coordinate all this? especially the growth parts. They must have internal signals, right? What's the plant version of hormones?
They absolutely do. Plants rely heavily on chemical communication using plant hormones, also called phytohormones.
Phytohormones.
Yes. Remember how we said electrical signals have limitations? They only reach connected cells and need reset time. Chemical signals, hormones, are slower but have a big advantage.
Which is?
They can travel throughout the plant, maybe through the sap, or just diffusing cell to cell, potentially reaching all cells. This allows for widespread long-term coordination of things like growth, flowering, fruiting, dormancy.
So they're made in one place and act somewhere else.
Often, yes.
Yeah.
Synthesized maybe at a tip or in leaves, then transported to where they're needed to trigger a response.
So these plant hormones are like signals that tell the plant what to do, like some tell it to grow and some tell it to stop. Could you give an example of how auxin actually causes the plant to bend towards light step by step? That seems really fundamental.
Yes, exactly like signals. Some promote, some inhibit. Auxin and phototropism is a perfect example and crucial to understand step by step. Let's break it down.
Light detection. The very tip of the growing shoot is sensitive to light direction when light comes mainly from one side. Step 2, auxin redistribution. Auxin hormone, which is made at the tip, moves away from the light. It accumulates on the shady side of the shoot, so you get more auxin on the dark side, less on the bright side.
Okay, it moves to the shade.
Step 3, differential cell elongation. Now, auxin's main job here is to make cells grow longer, to elongate. So the higher concentration of auxin on the shady side makes the cells there grow longer and faster than the cells on the sunny side.
More auxin means more growth on that side.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Step 4, the bending. Because the cells on the shady side are elongating more rapidly, that side physically gets longer than the sunny side. This difference in length forces the entire shoot to bend towards the light source.
Wow. It bends because one side literally outgrows the other, directed by the auxin moving away from light.
Precisely. It's an elegant mechanism ensuring the leaves get maximal light for photosynthesis.
That's incredibly clear. Auxin acts like the director. What about other plant hormones? What do they do?
Good question. Besides auxin, there are several other key players. Gibberellins, they also promote growth, especially stem elongation, often working with auxin. They're also involved in seed germination and flowering.
So also growth promoters.
Yes. Then there are cytokinins. Their main role is promoting cell division. So you find lots of them in rapidly growing areas like fruits, seeds, root tips. They help the plant make more cells.
Cell division.
Yeah.
Cytokinins. Got it. Are there any that stop growth?
Absolutely. A very important one is abscisic acid, or ABA. It generally acts as a growth inhibitor.
Inhibitor.
Yeah.
Why would a plant want to inhibit growth?
For survival, ABA is crucial in stressful conditions. For example, during drought, it helps close the stomata, the pores on leaves, to reduce water loss, causing wilting but conserving water. It also keeps seeds dormant until conditions are right for germination.
So ABA is like the brakes or the wait signal.
Exactly. It helps the plant pause or protect itself. So you have this balance for promoters like auxins, gibberellins, cytokinins driving growth and development, and inhibitors like ABA regulating it, especially in response to stress. It's a complex chemical conversation happening inside the plant.
It really is a different kind of control center, isn't it? Using chemicals to manage everything.
Yeah.
Okay, let's come back to animals. We know they have the fast nervous system, but do they also use slower chemical hormone signals like plants do?
No, absolutely. Animals rely heavily on chemical coordination via hormones as well. This is the endocrine system. It complements the nervous system perfectly.
Complements how?
Well, the nervous system is for fast, targeted responses. Hormones are often for slower, more widespread, sometimes longer-lasting effects. Think about preparing the whole body for something major.
Like that squirrel seeing danger you mentioned earlier. The fight-or-flight situation.
Exactly that situation. The squirrel sees the hawk. Its nervous system makes it freeze or tense up instantly. But to prepare its entire body for extreme action fighting or fleeing, it needs a widespread signal. That's where hormones come in.
And which hormone is the key one for fight or flight?
That would be adrenaline. It's the classic emergency hormone.
Adrenaline, where does it come from?
It's secreted by the adrenal glands. These are small glands sitting right on top of your kidneys.
Okay, adrenal glands on the kidneys. And how does it spread so quickly?
It's secreted directly into the bloodstream. The blood then carries it rapidly all over the body, reaching many different organs and tissues almost simultaneously.
Ah, the blood circulation acts as the delivery system. So what does adrenaline actually do when it reaches those organs? What are the effects?
The effects are widespread and all geared towards immediate, intense physical action. First, the the heart beats faster and harder. This pumps more oxygen and fuel to the muscles.
More power to the muscles.
Okay. Second, blood flow gets redirected. Less blood goes to places not essential in an emergency, like your digestive system or skin.
Why less to the skin?
To divert more blood to where it's needed most, the skeletal muscles in your arms and legs, the ones you'll use to run or fight, they get the priority supply.
Makes sense. Divert resources. What else?
Your breathing rate increases. You start breathing faster and deeper to get more oxygen into your blood. Your diaphragm and rib muscles work harder.
Faster heart, rerouted blood, faster breathing.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yes. It also signals the liver to release stored glucose into the blood, providing an instant energy source for the muscles.
Wow, so it really primes the entire body for maximum exertion.
Exactly. All these responses together make the animal ready to face the danger. It's a powerful, system-wide activation triggered by this one hormone, adrenaline. That's the power of the endocrine system.
Incredible, like flicking a switch for the whole body's emergency mode.
Yeah.
Okay, besides adrenaline, what other crucial animal hormones should we know about, especially for exams?
Right, this is important. Let's go through the key ones, their glands and functions. Thyroxine. From the thyroid gland in your neck, its main job is regulating metabolism, how your body uses energy from carbs, proteins, fats, essential for growth and energy levels.
Thyroxine. Metabolism. And it needs something specific, right?
Yes, absolutely critical. It needs iodine to be made. Lack of iodine causes goiter, that swelling in the neck. That's why iodized salt is so important.
Okay. Thyroxine from thyroid needs iodine. Next.
Growth hormone, GH, from the pituitary gland at the base of the brain, called the master gland sometimes. GH, as the name says, regulates body growth, especially in childhood.
And if there's not enough?
Deficiency in childhood leads to dwarfism. Too much leads to gigantism.
Got it. GH from pituitary for growth.
No.
What about hormones related to puberty?
Good question. In males, it's mainly testosterone from the testes. It drives puberty changes like voice deepening, muscle growth, etc.
Testosterone from testes in males. And in females.
In females, it's mainly estrogen from the ovaries. It handles female puberty changes like breast development and regulating the menstrual cycle.
Estrogen from ovaries in females. Okay. What about blood sugar? You mentioned that earlier.
Yes, insulin, absolutely vital. It comes from the pancreas. Its job is to lower blood sugar levels by helping cells take up glucose after you eat.
And if it doesn't work properly?
That leads to high blood sugar, the condition called diabetes. People with diabetes might need insulin injections.
Insulin from pancreas for blood sugar. Is that all the main ones?
There's one more key player to mention, the hypothalamus. It's part of the brain, but it controls the pituitary gland.
Controls the master gland.
Exactly. It releasing factors or inhibiting factors that tell the pituitary when to release its hormones, like growth hormone. So the hypothalamus is like the ultimate controller, linking the nervous system to the endocrine system.
Wow, that's quite a list. And they all seem so interconnected. Sir, ma'am, if all these hormones are so important and need to be in precise amounts, how does our body make sure the right amount is released? Is it just a one-way signal, or is there more to it?
That's a brilliant question, because precision is key. Too much or too little hormone can cause major problems. The body ensures this precision using feedback mechanisms.
Feedback mechanisms, like adjusting based on the result.
Exactly like that. Mostly negative feedback. Think of a thermostat. It senses the room temperature. Too cold, heater on. Reaches target temp, heater off. Too hot, maybe AC on. It's constantly monitoring and adjusting.
Okay, so how does that work with hormones, like with insulin?
Perfect example. When your blood sugar rises after a meal, the pancreas detects this rise. That's the input.
Right.
In response, it releases more insulin. Insulin helps cells take up sugar, so blood sugar starts to fall.
Okay.
As the blood sugar level falls back to normal, the pancreas detects this fall. That's the feedback. In response, it reduces insulin release.
So the result, lower blood sugar turns off the signal to release more insulin.
Precisely. It's a self-regulating loop. High sugar triggers insulin. Insulin lowers sugar. Lower sugar stops insulin release. This keeps blood sugar and hormone levels in general within a tight, healthy range. It maintains that internal balance, homeostasis. Understanding feedback is crucial for exams.
That makes perfect sense. A self-correcting system constantly fine-tuning itself. My dear learners, As we wrap up, remember this deep dive into control and coordination is absolutely vital. It's foundational stuff, not just for biology class, but for understanding life, and definitely for those competitive exams.
Absolutely. So just to summarize the key takeaways, animal coordination relies on the fast, targeted nervous system, electrical signals, and the slower, widespread endocrine system, chemical hormones. We saw nervous responses can be reflex, voluntary, or involuntary.
And plants, lacking nerves and muscles, use immediate water pressure changes for some quick responses and slower growth-based movements, tropisms, directed by their own set of plant hormones.
And don't forget the elegance of feedback mechanisms, especially in hormone regulation, constantly maintaining that crucial internal balance or homeostasis. For your revision, really focus on the neuron structure, the brain parts, and their functions, and know the specific plant and animal hormones and what they do.
Definitely practice diagrams, the neuron, the reflex arc, the brain, and look at past year questions on this chapter. They come up frequently. And try to understand the why. Why is a reflex faster? Why does oxen move to the shady side? That understanding makes recall much easier than just memorizing facts. Keep practicing.
And as a final thought to leave you with, as we learn more about these incredibly intricate biological control systems, the signaling pathways, the feedback loops in both animals and plants, how might this knowledge influence our future? Could it lead to better treatments for neurological diseases? Could understanding plant hormone signaling help us design smarter agriculture, boosting crop yield sustainably? The principles of control and coordination in nature might hold keys to solving many human challenges. Keep thinking about it.